Hey, this is John, Mopar Restoration Parts. We're at the Street Machine Nationals. I'm here with Lyndon, and we're looking at his 1971 Dodge Charger that he's restored meticulously over a number of years.
9 years.
So if you want to see this car and others and follow details, check out my webpage.
Hi, my name's Lyndon. I was just asked to talk about my little 71 Charger RT here. The story on it I think is kind of interesting because there's a chain of events that occurred that I think more than coincidental. I had a 71 Charger in high school that I'd gotten from my brother, D5 blue with a white vinyl. So very similar, but it wasn't an RT. Life went on, I got married, had children, and my son and I would build models, line his shelves in his bedroom. So we built a model of my old 71 Charger, and he came to the age of 11, and it was time to maybe build a real car instead of just models. So we went on the quest looking for a car, and so I looked in my Mopar collector guide. I'm a Mopar guy, died in the war, and looked in my Mopar collector guide, and I see this 71 Charger RT, B5 blue, gave all the option lists, and sounded interesting, so I called. And I called the number, and the gentleman, his name is Scott Lindsay. He's kind of a high-end Mopar guy out of Oklahoma. Said, I asked him about the car. He said, well, I sold that about a month and a half ago. And I said, okay, well, thank you, sir, and hung up the phone, just figuring that was the only car he had. So I was looking for other Chargers, couldn't find anything else, so I looked back into the Super Bs for 1971, which was also on the Charger body, and I see a FE5 red 383 4-speed bench seat car, and that sounds interesting, so I start calling that number, and I recognized that's the same number I just called. So I said, I just called you. I dialed it up, I just called you, yeah? And said, I see you got a Super B for sale as well. Oh, I sold that about a week ago. So I said, you got anything else? And he said, well, I got dozens of cars, but no more Chargers. So I took down a list of everything that he had. Was wondering if I could come and see what he had. And he said, sure, but just look me up first because he described himself as an accumulator, not a collector. And so I tucked that away in my collector guide, the list of his name and all the things he had, and moved on looking for something else. Well, just couldn't find anything. My brother was offering me a 68 GTX, which he still has, and the 68 GTX wasn't my favorite car, but sharp. But anyhow, I thought, well, if it was an open air car, a sunroof car, a convertible, it would be interesting and something I could love. So I found one down in Michigan, and 12-hour drive away. Talked to the guy. I knew it was rusty, but I was concerned about the wheel tubs. Anyhow, that's where the convertible top attaches. And so I talked to the guy. He assured me that the wheel tubs were excellent, and so we set a price, and I took a 12-hour drive down to Michigan. I get there, the car was an absolute, it was totally misrepresented. So I told the guy that. I said, we need to negotiate. He said, no. And I'm sure he just figured I drove 12 hours, that he had me over the coals. And I held firm, and it was hard, but I told him, nope, can't do it. So I went home empty. I got back, and my son was excited to see our project car, father-son car. And I told him, no, it didn't work out. He was devastated. And so I told him, well, we'll find something else. And there was no other car. That was it. And so I go on eBay to prove to him there's other cars out there. And I see, well, as a matter of fact, I see these pictures on eBay and look kind of interesting to me. So I thought I was just trying to prove to him that there's other cars, and it's like, well, this is piquing my interest. So I don't know how I got a hold of the guy, but I got a hold of the guy that had the auction it, and I asked him about it. I said it had a $1,500 bid. It had only been on for a few hours, and had a $1,500 bid, and I asked, but I said, buy it now, but no price. And I asked him, I said, I see that there's a buy it now, but no price. I said, what happened? He goes, I don't know. He says, it just went away. I said, well, usually it doesn't go away until reserve is met. And he told me, oh, I didn't have a reserve. And that explains that. I says, would you mind divulging what the buy it now was? He says, $3,500. I said, end the auction. I'll buy it right now. And he said, well, I do a lot of stuff on eBay and I don't want to get in trouble with them. And I said, well, I'm not asking you to do anything dishonest. I said, I'm just telling you, I will pay your $3,500 buy it now price. And so I told him how I'd gone to Michigan, came back empty. My son was devastated. I had a car that looked very much like this in high school, and blah, blah, blah. He was, I kind of gave him my sob story about wanting a father-son project, and he was silent for a couple seconds, and he said, tell you what, he said, you cut me a check for $2,500 and it's yours. And I couldn't believe it because I just told him I'd give him $3,500 for it. So I said, sold. Well, this was 2001, just after the trade towers had been hit, so nobody knew what the economy was going to do. So I thought, is this a wise decision or not? I had to go out and tell my wife, I just bought a car. So I went down, I picked up the car. I could go into, there's a lot more details, but I won't bore you with that. I went down, got the car, got it back, and so I'm laying in bed, real romantic. I'm laying in bed with my wife, and I'm picking up my mopar collector guide and to see what I could get for the car. New old stock, reproduction. At any rate, a piece of paper falls out, and my wife asks me, what's that? And so I said, oh, this guy in Oklahoma had all these cars. I said, I was interested in a 71 RT that he had, but he didn't have it. He sold it. And I said, then I went back to the Super Bs, looked at the Super B, and ended up being the same guy. I said, but what I really wanted was the 71, and I flipped back to that page, and I said, and I started reading off 71 Charger RT, power steering, AC, cruise, 6-way seat, power disc brakes, B5 with a white vinyl. I thought, this sounds like my car. So I hopped up out of bed, I went into the filing cabinet, pulled the title out, and here it's still in Scott Lindsay's name. So it's a very car that I had tried to pursue before that had been sold for $4,900 in Oklahoma, and I ended up getting it for $2,500, and didn't have to. I went to Carmel, Indiana, to pick it up. So, at any rate, I got the very car that I was originally wanting to get, and paid less for it. And it took me. I quit my job and bought a business with my brother, and so you know, all that life happens. It took me about 9 years to finish the car. I restored it, did everything. The only thing I did not do was recore the radiator. I had another shop do that. It's original number, the original radiator, all numbers matching, engine, transmission, rear end. All the sheet metal is original. I had some, except for the roof skin. The roof skin had a rust hole in it, so I replaced that with a donor, 74 donor car. So it had, there's more twists and turns to the story, because there was a, in the ashtray, there was a slip for a medical record for John W. Blood. So I thought, maybe this guy knows some of the history of the car. So I started doing an internet search on John W. Blood, and I ended up, there was 3 of them in Oklahoma, and so I called the one that had a John W. I figured that's the closest. So I told him, I said, you don't know me. I said, this is probably strange if you don't know, if this isn't you. I said, you can just tell me. I said, I bought a car that I'm wondering if you know any history on. So it's a blue 71. He says, Charger RT. And I said, yes, that's it. I said, you're the guy. And so we talked for quite a while. He told me he's traded in he was in the Air Force, and so he was Tinker Air Force Base in Oklahoma, and so he had a '68 Charger RT, black on black, 4-speed car. And he said, when I saw that '71 Charger come out, it's a new body style for '71, and he said I had to get it. So he ordered the car, or he traded in. He ordered this car, but he traded in that black '68 RT, and he ordered it. He wanted a Hemi with air conditioning, and the dealer told him you couldn't get a Hemi with air because the Hemi had the 2 4-barrels with the big, huge air cleaner on it, and that air cleaner took up the same space as where the AC pump would be. And so he said, so I opted, it was more important to him to have air conditioning. So he said, I opted for the 440, and he said, and of course, in 70, for the Hemis, they all came in 71 with the Ram Charger hood scoop, which is a vacuum operated hood scoop. And he says, I got the 440, and that's okay. I didn't care for that corny pop-up hood scoop. And I just kind of winced. I thought, oh, that's what everybody wants, you know. So, but he had ordered the car, the Hemi and Air, couldn't get that. He ordered striped Elite. Normally, RTs would have a stripe over the collar and down the back. And then he wanted this Landau vinyl roof. And he called it Landau, which I used to call it because they used to advertise Landau on, and which was the half vinyl. A lot of people call it canopy, half vinyl. But anyway, he wanted this, and this was not available on anything but SE at that time. Later in 1971, they had the Topper, which my old car in high school was, which had canopy. Anyhow, he says I wanted the Landau vinyl, and they told him that it was either a full vinyl or no vinyl. It's the only way with the RT. So he says I ordered it without a vinyl, and I had the dealership install it. And so when I got the car, it was the roof was potato chips. It had a Landau bar that they pop riveted on there. So the dealership didn't do a great job of it. That's one of the reasons there was a rust hole right here because the pop rivet that it just. So I put the new roof skin off that '74. Not new, but it's original roof skin. And at any rate, so I wanted to restore it the way it was delivered to the original owner, and I did, with the exception of these stainless moldings here. I took the liberty to put that on there just because it lends itself to the way it swoops up and over the roof. So, otherwise, the car is exactly as it was delivered to John W. Blood in 1971. It's got an AM/FM cassette player, which everybody in 71 said, oh, that'll never replace the 8-track tape player. But it's a very heavily opted car. And he probably should have gotten an SE. I don't know. Maybe he told me he called the car. He and his wife called the car the Shark, because it had the gills and the doors. And but he probably would have been better off. He would have gotten his Landau vinyl and what he wanted in an SE with a 440 instead of getting the RT striped Elite and all like that. But the Monroney label, you can see it's quite $5,400 in 1971 was a considerable amount. There was a base price of $37.77, and air conditioning on the car was $3,800, 10% of the value of the car, or the price of the car, and then the power windows, or excuse me, the AM/FM cassette player was another 10%, nearly. So that would be like getting your new $100,000 Hellcat, and somebody telling you it's going to be $10,000 with the stereos. For a car that was $5,400 brand new in 1971, now you're probably looking at 10 times the value for this car, although it's not for sale. So I'm not going to be getting the 10 time value that it might garner, but no, it's worth more than that to me, just in nostalgia and looking back. And I've got a daughter that at one time I was going to sell it to buy a newer Challenger, and my daughter, we were riding in it, and I told her that I would have to sell this in order to buy the Challenger, and I was negotiating traffic, and she was quiet. I was negotiating, and I looked over at her when I got a chance, and she was crying. So I said, nope, not going to sell it, can't sell it. So it will be willed to my children. So.
Now you know the rest of the story.